Hi Year 6, welcome to Wednesday's maths lesson. Today we're going to be reflecting shapes on a coordinate grid. Before we go into the main part of our lesson though, as usual we have got our 6 arithmetic questions followed by our 2 stretch questions. So if you pause the video now and have a go at those questions and then come back and listen to the answers. Okie dokes then. So for question 1, we have got 5 cubed. Remember that means 5 times 5 times 5. So 5 times 5 is 25, and then I had to times that by 5 as well, which gave me the answer 125. Okay, question 2, we've got 1.5 times 124. To do that, remember I need to know what one lot of 24 is, and then I need to know what half of 24 is, 124 is, and then I need to add them together. Well, one lot of 124 is 124, and half of 124 is 62, and then I need to add those two numbers together. So adding them together, 4 add 2 gives me 6. 2 add 6 gives me 8, and 1 add nothing gives me 1. So the answer there is 186. Question 3 is a BODMAS question. So just like we've been doing the last couple of days, I would write out the word BODMAS to help me. And then I need to identify which of these letters are applicable for this question. Well, first of all, I've got some brackets, so I know I've got brackets I need to work out. And also I've got an add. So brackets comes first in BODMAS, it's the letter B. So first of all, I'm going to solve the brackets part of the question. So inside the brackets, I've got 7 times 9. 7 times 9 is 63. So then what I'm left with is 20 add 63. Okay, 20 add 63 gives me the answer 83. Okay, question 4. I've got a fraction times by a whole number. And when I'm doing this, it's t for times, t for top number. So the top number is going to change. Obviously, that's my numerator. The denominator stays exactly the same. So 2 times 6 on the top, which is 12, and the denominator stays as 5. Okay. Question 5, 2.4 times 10. Remember, if I'm timesing a number by 10, all I do is move the digits one place to the left. So at the moment, my 2 is in my ones column. If I move it one more place to the left, it ends up in my tens column. And my 4, which is currently in my tenths column, that ends up in my ones column. So I end up with the answer 24. Question 6, I'm adding fractions. Remember, with adding fractions, I have to have the same denominator. So at the moment, I can't add them. I need to find a common denominator. And for this, I'm going to find the common denominator 15. Okay, because 15 is in the 3 times table. It's also in the 5 times table. Okay, so then I have to ask myself, what do I times 3 by to get 15? I'm timesing by 5. Whatever I've done on the bottom, I'm going to do on the top. So I'm going to times by 5. 2 times 5 gives me 10 on the top. Okay, same with this fraction. What do I times 5 by to get 15? I'm timesing by 3. Whatever I've done on the bottom, I've got to do on the top, so I times it by 3. 3 times 3 gives me 9. So I end up with 19/15. Okay, stretch questions then. Question 1, the answer we were looking for was 176,893. And question 2, we were looking for the answer 68. Okay, as usual then, we're going to do our daily times table practice. So if you pause the video now, give yourself 1 minute and have a go at the times tables on the screen. Okay, hopefully you've had an opportunity to do those questions in Year 6, and we're going into the main part of our lesson now then. So our I can today is I can reflect shapes on a coordinate grid. So the first thing I want you to do is think about what the word reflect means. So pause the video now to give you a moment and think about what that word means. Okay, reflect then. We talk about a reflection in everyday life, don't we? When we're thinking about a mirror image. You see, when you look in a mirror, you see your reflection. Or you might do if you look in some glass or in a pond, for example. Reflection is that mirror image. It's exactly the same as what's on one side. So today we're reflecting shapes in a coordinate grid. So earlier in the week we looked at coordinates and we looked at grids that look a bit like this. And today all we're doing is we're imagining the axis are mirror lines. So it's like we're placing a mirror on one of our axes. So here we've got a question that says reflect what in the y-axis. So we've got a shape and we've got to reflect that shape using the y-axis as our mirror. Imagining that y-axis is the mirror. And if you remember from Monday's lesson, I told you that the y-axis is the one that goes up and down. And I helped you to remember that by y, the letter y has got a long bit on it, which goes down. So you can remember that that is the y-axis. The x-axis goes across, okay? And remember, x doesn't have any, it doesn't have any bits that go up or down like the letter y does. So that's why we know that x goes across, so it's the one that goes across. Okay, so we're going to reflect the shape in the y-axis. So keys to success, identify the axis that you're going to use as your mirror line. Well, in this question, it's telling us it's got to be the y-axis. So that is our mirror. Identify how many squares away from that axis each vertex is. Remember, a vertex is a corner of a shape. So, first of all, I'm going to take this vertex, this corner, and that is one whole square away from the axis itself. It's not touching the axis, it's one square away from it. So in my reflection, in my mirror, then this corner would end up here. It'd be one square away from the axis. Same with this other corner. It's one square away from the axis, so in my reflection, it must be one square away. So I'm going to put little crosses on the corners, that I've done. Okay, next I'm going to take this one. Now this corner is 2 squares away from the y-axis. So in the reflection, it must be 2 squares away. 1, 2. So it must be there. Put a little cross on that one because I've done it. Next I'm going to take this corner and it's 2 squares away from the y-axis. 1, 2. So in my reflection, it has to be 2 squares away. 1, 2. Okay, so now I have got my 4 corners or my 4 vertexes of that square, and with a ruler, okay, keys to success, use a ruler, join those together. So my reflection would end up here. Okay, hopefully that makes sense to you. I've got a couple more examples, Year 6, that I'm going to work through. Now, if you want to try them and do them yourself, in today's maths folder, I have put these as a Word document, which if you have a printer, you could print off. If you don't have a printer, I have also put these little questions. I have put them into a Paint document, which you can use on your computer or iPad or tablet or whatever you're using. You could have a go at drawing these shapes and reflecting them and then watching my video to see the answers. Okay, and you could do it a question at a time along with me. Okay, if you really don't have anything that you can do that on, then I would suggest you just pause the video after each question and have a think about where the shape would be reflected. Okay, so here I've got a triangle. I'm going to reflect it again. I'm reflecting it in that y-axis. So I'm imagining that that triangle is reflected in this mirror line here, which is my y-axis. Okay. If you're going to have a go at this at home, if you'd like to pause the video, okay, and come back and I will talk through how I would do this question. Okay, hopefully you've had an opportunity to have a go at this at home, perhaps on the computer using Paint, or perhaps you've printed it off, or maybe you've just had a think about where it would go on the screen. Okay, remember I want to take each corner and plot each corner separately, okay, or each vertex. So I'm going to start with this bottom vertex here. It's 2 squares away from my y-axis, so in the reflection, it must also be 2 squares away. So I'm going to put a little dot. Next, I'm going to take this vertex and this vertex is 1, 2, 3, 4 squares away from my y-axis. So it must end up 4 squares away. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Next, I'm going to take the only vertex that I've not dealt with yet, which is this one, and it is 1, 2, 3, 4 squares away. So in the reflection, it must also be 4 squares away. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, final key to success. Join my vertices with a ruler, and then, does it look right? Have a look. Does that look like a reflection? Is it an equal distance from my axis as the original shape? If you followed the keys to success, then it should be. Okay, another one for us to have a go at. If you're going to have a go at home, pause the video now and have a go, and then come back and I'll explain how I would do it. Okay then, year 6. Once again, we were reflecting the shape in the y-axis. So I'm going to start with this top corner. I'm going to leave 1 square, okay, because there is 1 square here. So I'm going to leave 1 square on the other side, and that first vertex is going to go here. Next, I'm going to deal with this bottom corner. Again, there's 1 square between the shape and the axis, so I need 1 square between the shape and the axis. So that bottom corner is going to go there. Next then, I've got this third vertex, which is 1, 2, 3 squares away from the axis. So it's got to be 3 squares away on this side. 1, 2, 3. Join them together with a ruler and have a look. Does that look right? Is it the same distance from the axis on each side? Is the shape the same height? Is it the same size? Hopefully it is, and it looks right. Okay, another one. It's getting harder now, year 6, so you're going to have to look really carefully at this one. Pause the video now and have a go at home. Okay, hopefully you've had a chance to have a go at this one then. I'm going to start with this top vertex. Okay, now this top vertex is actually touching the axis. So in the reflection, it's still going to be touching the axis. It's not going to move away from the axis. So basically, I don't need to actually move that point. It stays right there. Then I've got this next vertex, which is down here, and it's 1 square away from my axis. So in my reflection, it's going to be 1 square away from my axis. So it's going to go here. And finally, I'm going to start with this final vertex, which is this one here. Now this one is 1, 2, 3, 4 squares away from the axis. So it needs to be 4 squares away in the question. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Join them together with a ruler. Hopefully yours will look better than mine, because you should have a ruler rather than me, unlike me. Okay, and I have got my reflection of my shape. Okay. Next question then. I'm going to do a couple of these. This time it says reflect the shape in the x-axis. Right, so before we were reflecting in the y-axis, we were using this as our mirror line, but this time we're going to be using this axis, the x-axis, as our mirror line. So when we're counting how many squares away, we need to count how many squares between the shape and the x-axis this time. So again, keys to success exactly the same. I'm going to start with 1 vertex at a time. Now this vertex here is 1 square away from my axis, so it's going to be 1 square away from my axis over here. This vertex is 1 square away, so it's also going to be 1 square away from my axis. This vertex up here is 1, 2, 3 squares away, so it's going to be 3 squares away in my reflection. 1, 2, 3. Same with this one, it's 3 squares away, so it's going to be 3 squares away in my reflection. 1, 2, 3. Okay, join them together and then have a look at the shape. Does it look right or not? Okay, we've got another one for you to have a go at yourselves then now, year 6. So we've got another shape. If you want to pause the video now and have a go at reflecting that other shape. All right, hopefully you've had a chance to have a go at that. Exactly the same. This time round, we just need to count the squares away. So I would start with the first vertex, it's 1 square away. This vertex here, this time it's 2 squares away. This vertex here is 2 squares away. And this vertex is 1, 2, 3 squares away. 1, 2, 3 squares away. Join them together. Okay, and you have got your reflection. Hopefully yours looks a little bit like mine. Okay, and the final one that I'm going to do in my video today, Year 6, is this one. So exactly the same, we're reflecting it in the x-axis. If you'd like to pause the video now and have a go at home, and then I'll go through the answer. Okay, starting with that top vertex, it's 1 square away from the axis, so it has to be 1 square away from the axis in my reflection. Taking this vertex, it's 1, 2, 3, 4 squares away. So it's going to be 4 squares away in my reflection. 1, 2, 3, 4. Taking this vertex, it's again 4 squares away. So it's going to be 4 squares away in my reflection. Join them together. And then have a look at my work. Does it look right? Does it look like a reflection? Hopefully it does. Okay, Year 6. What I'm going to ask you to do now is have a go at the work on maths.co.uk. The work is very similar to what we've just been doing in the video. If you are finding it difficult, there is a scaffold sheet that you can have a go at instead. I have also put, for the scaffold sheet, I have also put a paint version in there in case you don't have a printer at home, in which case you can have a go at doing it on the computer. The same goes for the stretch sheet today. If you are choosing to do that after your maths.co.uk work, again, you can print the sheet off and have a go. Or there is a paint version of that sheet where you can have a go at answering the questions on the computer. Do remember to check your answers for those. Once you've done that, if you'd like to come back to the video, you can watch the reasoning part of the video and the plenary. Okay, hopefully Year 6 you've had a go at maths.co.uk. Some of you will have had a go at the stretch, and you are back here ready to look at our reasoning question. So today's question, we have got 4 triangles on a coordinate grid, and the question says which 2 triangles are a reflection of each other? Explain how you know. So pause the video now and have a go at that question, and then I will go through what I would write as an answer. Okay, hopefully you've spotted that it's the green and red shapes which are a reflection of each other. So I'd start off by saying that the green and red shapes are a reflection of each other. Make my font a little bit smaller for you. Okay, the green and red shapes are a reflection of each other. They have been reflected in the x-axis. Okay, I think that's an important extra bit of information. Now I want to say, a full answer would explain why the other shapes aren't a reflection. Why is this purple and green shape, why are they not a reflection of each other? Why is the yellow shape not a reflection of any of the other shapes? So I would say, the purple shape is not a reflection of any other shape. You could say the purple shape is the green shape translated 1, 2, 3, 4 squares. Four squares to the left. The yellow shape isn't a reflection of any other shape because it simply isn't the right way around. and I would leave it at that. Okay, so a really detailed answer saying which shapes are a reflection and why the other shapes aren't a reflection. Okay, final question for us to have a think about today for our plenary then. And in this, we're combining our learning from the last 3 days. Okay, so I've got a triangle on that grid. First of all, the shape is reflected in the x-axis. Then it is translated 2 squares to the right and 3 squares up. What are the coordinates of the new shape? Okay, if you want to pause the video now then, Year 6, and have a go at this. Okay, thinking about that shape then, first of all, it's reflected in the x-axis. So we've got 1 squared down, so it's going to be 1 squared down. So this first vertex is going to end up here. This vertex, 1 square from the axis, so it's going to be 1 square from the axis. So the second vertex is going to end up here. And the final vertex is 1, 2, 3 squares from the axis, so it's going to be 3 squares from the axis. So first of all, step 1, it would give me a shape that looks like this. Then that shape is translated 2 squares to the right and 3 squares up. So next I need to do exactly like I was doing yesterday in translation. I need to move each vertex one at a time. So we're going 2 squares right, 3 squares up. Use a different pen this time. I'm going to start with this vertex, 2 squares to the right and 3 squares up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, next I'm taking this vertex. I'm going to go 2 to the right and 3 up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And finally I'm going to take this vertex, 2 to the right and 3 up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And join them together. Okay. Final bit then, it says what are the coordinates of the new shape? Right, remember coordinates need to be written in brackets. Okay, first coordinate, in through the door and up the stairs. Okay, so I read along the bottom first of all, which is -1. And up the side, well, it's only at 0, isn't it? So it's going to be -1, 0. Second coordinate, this one is -1, 2. And the third coordinate, this one is 1, 2. So those are our coordinates that we need. Okay, Year 6, I hope you got on all right with that. Tomorrow's lesson is going to be an investigation. So I'll see you back here tomorrow for some more maths.